The Baylor Bears deserved to be in the top 25 rankings. So why aren't they bothered that they're not?
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, brought to you by Monarch Money. It is a Wicker Wednesday, so we bring in Sydney Wicker of KCEN Channel 6. I'm your host, Cam Stewart of ESPN Central Texas and The Cam Show on YouTube. Boy, have we got some topics for you today. The preseason top 25 is out, and shocker, Baylor's not on it. But we'll tell you why that's not the worst thing in the world and how their schedule shakes out because of the new top 25 rankings. And there is something going on at Baylor football practice that will show up late in the season, October, November, and make this team better every day. We'll tell you what it is. All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Baylor. Sydney, you have understood what we do here, especially in the summer on Locked On Baylor. And I gotta give you the credit where it's due. We collaborate on these topics and, you know, what you're seeing and what you're covering. But you came to me before this show and you said, Cam, I don't know if you've seen this, but you got to see this. And you sent me this on 3 list. I mean, it's about time. It's about time, Sydney, right?
About freaking time. Let's go.
There he is, Sawyer Robertson.
I figured the
#1.
chances of you missing it were like very slim, but I'm so honored to show you something today.
Slim, but there we are. Returning QBR leaders in college football, Sawyer Robertson up there at #1 from On 3. Boy, these guys must not work at the Locked On Podcast Network. I mean, you texted me the other day when you saw it, the outrage that he was completely left off. So I think there was no better place to start today than here, right?
Of course. Like, this is finally everything that we've said. Now it's kind of like, well, this defends it. Like, it really just makes us look a little bit better for being for real. But giving Sawyer the respect that he deserves is huge. Drew Aller is a guy that people are talking about as a first-round draft pick. But, like, to see Sawyer Robertson's name there at the top of the list as the #1 quarterback returning from last season to this season, that's huge. And look who's also on that list, the guy who beat him in the Texas Bowl, and he's how far down the list? Like, this is huge for Sawyer. I think it finally validates exactly what we've been saying, and it's nice to see it noticed by somebody else too.
And excuse me if I say it a little bit louder because I need to talk to the entire Locked On Podcast Network. The top 2 were not on your list. The top 2 returning QBR leaders in college football were not deemed good enough to be among the top 100 players on the Locked On Podcast Network's list. I mean, I'm still kind of bummed about that. Like, I'm still kind of crashing out. I know some fans were saying it was a valid crash out. I appreciate that. I think it is too. But it almost got me caught up because that was yesterday's episode. I did that, and it was right after the top 25 came out, and I was like, you know what? This needs to be saved. I'll do this with Sydney. I gotta get this out of me now, the Sawyer Robertson thing. So now, Sydney, let's then transition. Okay. Preseason coaches poll, top 25 did come out. Baylor notably not on there. I don't think we're terribly surprised. I think they should be there. But were you stunned to not see them in the top 25?
No, I wasn't. I think because Baylor almost has to earn the respect a little bit. And I think
more than a lot of other schools. Yeah.
Yes. And honestly, I think that's just a Big 12 issue as a whole. Like, look at how many SEC schools we see on there. Like, you just look at the top 10 alone.
Can't put one in the top 10. Can't put a Big 12 team in the top 10, apparently. Like, literally, the champion has to be out at 11. Like, does that not seem conspiratorial? Like,
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but I do think, you know, it didn't surprise me at all. I'm bummed for Baylor to not see them on this, but this is the coaches poll. It's preseason. Like, you can't read into it too much or too far, but seeing this, to ask if it was a surprise, my answer is no.
And it does kind of, I'm sure you see these tweets too, like right after the national championship game. It's like, here's the preseason poll for next year. And it will be like, a couple blank spaces. Miami, for some reason, Big 12 champ. Like, they kind of predict it out there. Like you are kind of playing the greatest hits here when it comes to the Big 12. Like, okay, Arizona State returns almost all their team besides Cam Scatterbo. They won the Big 12 last year. They went to the playoff. Top 10? Nah, we can't put them there. Let's throw them at 11. Kansas State, they're usually solid. Put them there. Sure. Iowa State, 22. Yeah, cool. They made the Big 12 championship game. BYU, good season last year. Let's put them right behind them. I don't know if they know the quarterback situation there. They put him at number 23. Tech, big transfer portal. Can't put him in the top 20 because Tech doesn't go in the top 20 ever. So we got to put him at 24. Like it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense there. I thought both Baylor and Auburn did have a shot to be between 20 and 25. I think we talked about that a few months ago of like, that seems like a good place they can fit Auburn with what they did in the offseason, which does absolutely count for these preseason rankings, and Baylor for what they bring back. Does that feel – I'm going to talk with Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn again this week, but does it feel like that takes the juice out a little bit, that neither of them are ranked in what should be a huge game week 1?
I don't think it takes out any of the juice for that game, just because that still is a Friday night game. Like, it's going to be one of the most watched games that night, no matter what the ranking is. It does suck. And I think whenever you have those numbers right next to their names, it adds a little more spice to the mix. But I don't think it's going to take off too much, because I think both of these teams understand what needs to be done in that game and what can be said from that game moving forward. I mean, Sawyer literally said this is the game that's going to set the standard for our season. So if you believe that, then let's see it. And it doesn't matter what the number is or isn't next to your name. It's gonna help get you there. And I think if you get a couple wins in those first 4 weeks alone, then you will see your name on this list.
I mean, yeah, I would say whoever wins that game is going to have 1 week too.
Yeah.
They're both in the receiving votes category. TCU also in that receiving votes category for some Big 12 interest. But yeah, one of them's going to be right in there. One of them's going to be right nestled in the top 25 in week 2. And of course, we're hoping that it's Baylor. That still is one of the big matchups of the year. But now that we have the top 25, how does that change our outlook on Baylor's schedule? Let's talk about that next on Locked On Baylor. But first, a message from our good friends over at Monarch Money. You guys ever look at that bank account and think, man, I wish this could be easier? Truly. I wish managing my money could be easier. With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch Money puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app, okay? It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building that wealth. My favorite part about it, it's all in one spot. Personal, shared accounts with your partner, all of it's right there. You don't have to toggle all these different accounts, different apps or anything. It's right there. It truly is like a command center. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDON, COLLEGE, Locked On College, for half off your first year. Back here with Sydney Wicker of KCEN Channel 6 on a Wicker Wednesday after a little hiatus. We both had stuff going on. You had to get the vacations out of the way before it gets super busy, because I know you're in high school football season now.
You know it. Just grinding. But I do appreciate that everybody worries, like, why weren't you on Wicker Wednesday this week? Like, it's nice that you guys see that. But don't worry, if sometimes we need a little vacay. Yes. And
you definitely need some R&R. Like, for those, obviously most of our listeners are coming from Texas. Like, what these next couple of months are like with high school football. It is every single day. Plus you've got a top 28 or so college football team to cover, and all that goes on in Baylor sports in Central Texas. And I was just moving, so not much of an excuse, but moving. So we're now in the home studio, first time, new home studio, not at my local public library. It's huge. We're so back. We're so
Hard
back.
launch of the new office, and we're loving it. Just need a couple helmets. We'll get there.
Yeah, so it's a little bare. No pun intended. Okay. It is. My whole concern with the last office for a while was like, I look like I'm in an asylum. And then I moved to the new office and it's pretty much the same for now. For now. All right. Give us the weekend and we will get there. We are still reacting to the top 25 in the preseason poll. Coaches poll, obviously, is what comes out first. We've talked about why Baylor's probably not there, whether they should be there or not. I think we're both kind of in agreement that I feel like they should, from where they were last year, what they bring back. But then again, Sydney, they weren't ranked at all last year. They didn't beat a ranked team last year. They didn't face a ranked team after week 4 or 5. I think they only faced Utah and BYU as ranked teams. I think that was it. Sid, that's going to change. That is going to change with this schedule right here. How about it? So no Auburn in terms of the top 25. Yep. But then after that, number 16 SMU. 2 weeks after that, number 11 Arizona State. 2 weeks after that, number 20 Kansas State. I know we thought those teams were going to be good, but did that kind of sneak up on you in terms of like, oh, wow, Baylor's got a kind of a loaded schedule here?
Yeah, I think it really wasn't until we recorded a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the slate and how the first 4 weeks alone are tough. But then you look at the rest of the schedule and you're like, God, there's no easy week, really. Like, you might want to call Samford an easy week, but I don't want to call any week an easy week in this. Like, it's tough. And just seeing it, though, it's great. It's great for the growth of the Big 12 and the competition that we're seeing, because if you look at the SEC, you've always got at least 4 or 5 teams in the top 25 at a very minimum. So to see the Big 12 start to build off of that too, I think it's just great for the conference as a whole. Yeah,
and hopefully, it doesn't do the flip side of the coin where you're like, oh, well, these teams are just beating up on each other, which we've seen in the Big 12 in the past. Sometimes justified, sometimes not. But looking at this, like I said, I mean, before your first bye week on October 11th, you've got 3 ranked teams. And again, that's not including what looks like a better Auburn team than the last few years, better than 5 and 7. But it looks like a decent Auburn team. And you are sprinting to that first bye week. And then, Sydney, right after that, as we revisit the schedule, we both talked about that next game after October 11th, the 18th. You're just at TCU.
Yeah.
No big, right?
Just your rival. It's all good.
Like, does that not feel even scarier than before? I'm getting kind of worried.
I'm not worried.
Josh Hoover, top 100 player in college football. If you're wondering.
Don't let him forget.
Hoover, top 100.
I don't know. I'm not that, I guess. From what I've seen from the guys so far, I have so much confidence in this group. And these guys have so much confidence too. And obviously anything can happen, but I really like where they're at. I like their drive. I like who comes back and what they deliver. So it doesn't scare me. It's going to be tough, but I like tough. Tough is what you need, and tough is what wins you championships and gets you in championship situations. So I'm ready to see them be put to the test.
You know what this kind of feels like at this point is when you start your dynasty in college football in the video game, and you've got like those first couple of weeks, you can slot out, the FCS team, and you're coming over, you're taking over a program that's unranked, and you put Alabama week 1, USC week 2, and you just fill it up. So you're like, I'm going to be in the top 10 in the first month. That's essentially what Baylor's done here. Okay. Auburn at SMU. And then of course, Arizona State and Kansas State, 2 more ranked matchups before that bye week. I get this all the time, Sydney, through the offseason when I react to rankings and these lists and everything. I got it on the show yesterday, talking just about Sawyer Robertson, not even about the team's ranking or anything. But people say, like, this is what we want. we don't want to be ranked. We want to sneak up on people. We want, like, here is the path. You're not ranked. You've got 3 ranked matchups plus an SEC team in the first 5 weeks of the season. Like, does this set up perfectly, do you think, for most of the Baylor fans and for the mentality that you've talked about with this team?
I mean, I'll say, first of all, I like when my team's ranked. Like, you want to be up there, but I get it. You want to be the sleeper team. You want people to doubt you. And it just adds more fuel to the fire. And I think if we've seen anything, it's if you doubt these guys, they're going to prove you wrong. And they did that halfway through the season, and they turned things around, and they had that doubter mentality, and they still carry that chip. Dave Aranda has made that very clear in practices so far. The chip is there, and they haven't lost sight of that. And I think that's key. So it's good to know that the drive is there, and it's nice to kind of sneak up on people a little bit. It takes off a little bit of pressure, but I think this team is just so ready to prove something, and you want to see that respect given back to them, and they're going to earn it. I believe that wholeheartedly.
And to go off of that, because you've talked about that mentality a couple times, we also talked with you after the Texas Bowl, and you had mentioned, like, they felt, and I think a lot of Baylor fans felt, like they left something on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a real opportunity. You know, everyone's going to see the score, 44-31, Baylor loses to LSU, because of course they did. They played an SEC team, and they got outclassed. I mean, were they a threat to win that game at any point? No, probably not. Were they getting blown out? Not necessarily. They hung in there, and I think they felt they could have done something better. And you had talked after that game about, like, you know, they were so PO'd that it just felt like they didn't give their best performance out there, and they wanted to prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of lines up almost like a sports movie in that sense. Like,
oh, it totally does. They're tired.
You get the band back, and here it is.
Yeah. They've heard about it, and they're done hearing about it. They get irritated almost when we ask questions about it, rightfully so.
Yeah.
We probably should maybe ask a little less, but it's part of the story. And, you know, it's now they're the underdogs, and they get to try to earn the respect of the big dogs and get these wins under their belts. But the way that they want to be the ones that are hunting the other team and to approach them and to just be able to capitalize on something they were so close to. I think they're tired of hearing the almost and that you guys were so close. Like, they don't want to be so close. They want to be there. They want to cross the finish line. They want to do it in a record time.
Before we get off the top 25 here, Baylor was obviously pretty close. We mentioned some of the other teams that were pretty close. How about this for receiving votes for Big 12 teams? Baylor, TCU, Colorado, Kansas, Utah. 5 teams. 5 of the 10 that receive votes, that also receive votes. Is there any of those that you think are getting snubbed here?
Say them one more time.
Okay, so we got Baylor, TCU, Kansas, Utah, and Colorado.
I would say Utah. Besides Baylor, of course. Utah, probably.
Oh, yeah, we already said Baylor. Yeah, that's a good point. Out of those 4.
I think Utah is going to be decent this year.
You do?
I do. I don't know. I just feel like...
Is this the Vegas talking? Vegas loves
no.
Utah. And which is, I think, is so funny, by the way, that, like, Vegas has them as even odds to win the Big 12 this year, and they're not even in the top 25. Like,
yeah. I don't know. I just feel like Utah's always a program that you can I don't feel like there's ever been like a ton of inconsistency with them. They just seem to always they always seem to be a team that's hanging around and that's always in the conversation. So I just feel like they're not one that I would be overlooking. And I do feel like out of all of those, I think Colorado is right where they should be. I think Kansas is where
I think they might be worse.
I think they might be worse too.
I think Colorado could be pretty bad this year. I think Kansas could be pretty bad. I mean, obviously, we're talking about the meat of the Big 12, which is the toughest to pick ever. Like, I don't know, Kansas could be a top 25 team. I doubt it. I think they were a 5-7 team last year, even though I like Jalen Daniels. And now you put in another new offensive coordinator. I think they could stink. I think Colorado could really stink. I think Utah is somewhere in the middle. I think TCU is a little bit better than average. And I think Baylor probably should be in there. In terms of the other teams in there, BYU, I've gone so back and forth on BYU. Like, I get the people saying, they didn't have great quarterback play last year and they were still pretty good. They won 11 games. But you also, you left spring ball. You were in July without a quarterback. Like, that's not ideal at all.
No.
So if we're going to take the offseason into account, which fine, because clearly we're doing that with Tech, then I just don't see how BYU's in there.
I don't either. I feel like they're definitely one that's
the one that's
overhyped. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, what has BYU done to set them up to be a preseason top 25 team? Like, I feel like when you look at BYU versus Baylor, I feel like has checked off every box that would put them in a list like this. And then BYU, there's a lot of question marks. So I don't get the thinking behind it. But also, I don't really understand the people that vote in these polls anyways. So
yeah, they do better than the Locked On people, I think. But anyway, let's get back and focus in on the task at hand for these Baylor Bears. They are getting ready for week 1 against Auburn, and they have something going for them in practice that no other team in the country really has. Let's tell you what that is next on Locked On Baylor. Running it back, Locked On Baylor, Wicker Wednesday, Cam Stuart, Sydney Wicker, who has been at Baylor football practice so far. She's kept cool somehow in these Baylor football practices. Well, somehow because they're inside. But Sydney, tell me what it's been like so far before we get into what we heard from some of the players. What have the first few practices been like?
So fun. First of all, just to see football again and be on a turf and my feet are on fire. I love that. It just feels
and the pellets in the shoes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love coming home and dumping out my shoes. And I'm like, oops, here we go. Turf is everywhere. It's part of my identity at this point. It's supposed to be there. But yeah, it's just been so good. And the energy is so high. After the first practice, I know we asked the guys how it felt, and the spirits were just so high and so confident and excited to be there. And it makes you want to be there more too. Just seeing that energy is so fun to be around. So it's just been good. I can't wait. It's only made me more excited for the season.
And it means we're that much closer to not having to do list talk all the time.
Oh, yeah. Guys, get ready. It's only a couple more weeks.
Stick with us, guys, because I know there are some out there who probably just don't watch in the summer because it's all these lists. And I get it. I have some fun with a lot of these, but most of them I'm I would love to react to a game. I would love to react to an event that's happening. Trust me, guys, I'm right there with you. And it means we're getting closer. And we've talked so much about this Baylor defense in the offseason. Hot take, they need to get better. They need to be better than middle of the road in the Big 12 in order to win the Big 12. In fact, I said it on the show a week or two ago. You got to be in the top 5. It's been almost a decade since a team outside of the top 5 in defense in the conference actually won the Big 12. Well, this Baylor defense gets a nice little cheat code all the time. Talk about iron sharpening iron. They get to go against non-top 100 player Sawyer Robertson every practice. Lavar Thornton, the Baylor defensive back, on what that means to go up against this offense day in and day out.
It's fun being going against them every day. It's because you got Josh Cameron, Ashtyn, Hawkins, you got Trigg, some of the top receivers in the Big 12 every day going at it, and it's you keep going at them, they're gonna make me better, but at the same time, I'm gonna make them better for whenever they go against some other team they play. So I'll say every day it's just fun, we're just going out there competing against each other.
Is it that simple? They have to get better doing that, right?
I mean, you should, especially when you have the number 1 returning quarterback as a guy who you're watching sling it to these wideouts or handing it off to the running backs. It's huge. And we've talked, like you said, so much about how the defense needs to improve. Now you've got your second year of understanding Aranda fully having the reins over this group. You've got guys who are competing against some of the best offensive talent in the Big 12 and in college football as a whole. How can you not get better from that?
I mean, I feel like you have to, right?
You
And
should.
it should do the same, I would say, for the offense too. We're not going to sit here and say Baylor's a top 5 defense in America, but they do know what's coming at them. They figure these things out. They pick up the tendencies. They're going against each other every single day, and it truly is kind of an iron sharpens iron thing. And not for nothing, but unlike last year, you do know who the starting quarterback is at this point in the season. You've played against him before. The offensive coordinator is settled in. Most of the skill position guys are coming back. I said this on the show earlier this week, Sydney, but I absolutely want to get your opinion on this, especially since you were there last year. You're here now at practice all the time. And Ashtyn Hawkins coming back. Like, we knew this was going to be a good Baylor offense no matter what. And I've said it time and time again, like, without Ashtyn Hawkins, they'd still be good. They're not at their best, but they would still be good. Now he is back. Does this start to have the feeling of like special kind of offense?
Totally. And it's fun too, because Coach Aranda has even talked about how guys like Michael Trigg are sleeper guys. And like, when you think about Michael
Talk about
Trigg,
guys who are not getting talked about, by the way, including by me, I guess. Yeah.
Michael Trigg is not a sleeper in my mind. Like, when I think about him, I'm like,
NFL.
watch out for Michael Trigg. And
Yeah.
I know that from seeing him at Ole Miss. I know that from seeing him last season in this offense. Like, he's not somebody I am sleeping on. I want to see him in full action, and I'm ready for it. And I know you better watch out for him. But having Ashtyn is another key piece, not only as a leader, but just as a weapon. That guy is so good. Like, he's so fun to watch. He's so speedy. Like, he's good. And I cannot emphasize enough like how much more this is just adding. It's adding to the storyline. Like, and I'm all here for it because I need all the storylines I can get at this point.
And these are NFL guys, which has been a while for Baylor, man. I mean, it has. It used to be pretty commonplace not that long ago. But these are NFL guys playing on this offense. Certainly, it's got to sharpen up that defense. But let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who are you most excited to see this year? Was Baylor snubbed in the top 25? And how do you think it shakes out with the rest of the Big 12 teams in that top 25 and this Baylor schedule? Let us know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It lets me know I'm doing this thing right, having Sydney on for sure. So like, subscribe. It's completely free. We're the only place bringing you nothing but Baylor sports content 5 days a week. That's not coming directly from Baylor University. So follow along with us, follow along with Sydney, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you for making it your first listen today and every day. That is, of course, Locked On Baylor.